So on top of Bridgerton,
Yes.
I finished the first season of Ted Lasso.
Oh, nice.
Which has been very fun. I really like it. It's just a show about being good. It's just about being good people, and even in the moments where the people have their darkest challenges, they're still genuinely good people at heart. And even when there's conflict, even when there's betrayal, Ted is just such a breath of fresh air as far as just like being an honorable man who looks at the situation around him and doesn't judge it immediately, but kind of has this way of, you know, kung fu style, just kind of like moving through every challenge that comes up to him. And it's just really funny. It's funny, the idea of a Premier League coach who doesn't understand what relegation is. And so it takes like episodes for him to figure out like what relegation is. And meanwhile, he's like, I hate ties. I hate ties. I hate ties. And it's like, well, the tie might help you if things go a certain way. Why? What's going to happen if we lose? If we lose, we lose. No, not the way it works over here.
Sudeikis is underrated. I love that guy.
Yeah, I love Sudeikis.
He's so great.
I was talking to Kelly. One of my favorite villain roles is a Jason Sudeikis role from a movie Colossal, which was the Kaiju movie with Anne Hathaway.
Yeah.
And Dan Stevens.
I remember that one.
And he seems like this really nice guy who owns a bar, and he's very friendly with Anne Hathaway. And you're just like, okay, you know, this guy's maybe a little down on his luck, but he seems like a nice enough guy, and they were friends when they were kids. And then Dan Stevens goes into his house, and all the faces and all the photos are scratched out, and you're like, you gotta get out of this house, man. You gotta get out of this house, dude. So, but that was really fun. I really enjoyed it. They did add more in-game soccer playing as the show went on. That was one of my complaints early on, was that there wasn't actually a lot of soccer being shown in this show about soccer. We do get there, not in a prevalent way, but in a, you know, at least there's episodes where soccer matches have real importance and we get to see them, as opposed to just shots of fans reacting or shots of actual game footage that's being cut in like it's the show itself, when it's a, you know, a game that took place 5 or 6 years ago or whatever. So I do like that aspect of the show. And then buckle up, kids, we're gonna go to Rant City for a hot second.
I like rants.
At Christmas time, Kelly bought me the Guardians of the Galaxy game that came out in 2021. Do you remember this game?
Yes.
So this is a SquareEnix game.
Wasn't it the game that they're supposedly supposed to update it forever, kind of like Destiny?
Oh, is that what it is?
I thought it was supposed to be one of those. The term is not in my brain right now.
I have no idea. All I know is that it's a
Life as a Service game or something like that.
Gotcha. Yeah. It's an interesting game. I don't want to immediately write it off, but there's a lot of interesting things in it. The fact that the canon is kind of this in-between point of MCU proper and the comic books. So we get mentions of the Badoon, and we get a mention of Richard Rider, which is like the easiest way into my heart, is that you're talking about Gamora and her backstory, and Gamora mentions Richard Rider, and you're like, hey, Dick Ryder's here. I love Dick. He's here. What's great? You get the Church of Unified Truth is one of the villains in the game, and you're like, all right, this is some deep cuts. I like this. I like this a lot. There are some tragic gameplay issues with the game itself. The fact that there's a giant set list of 80s rock is great, and I'm not going to criticize that. That's great. The beginning of the game, really good, really emotional stuff. The writing is really good, generally speaking. There's a lot of banter. There's a lot of banter. There's just all the time there's banter. So whenever you're doing literally anything, there's banter. So we're going to get into a situation here, but so the situation is, I find a secret. I'm on like the 3rd level. I find a secret. They keep on hinting and teasing that there are costumes. So I'm like, okay, I want to try and find these costumes. I think there's one at the end of the secret. I'm going through, and so now all the banter that would be playing has turned into, where'd you go? What you doing? Where'd you go? What's going on? Where'd you go? What's going on? And then a fight starts, and all the banter becomes, are you okay? You're gonna die? What's happening? Because, you know, it's a game where you're supposed to have 5 party members, but instead you're just taking on these 2 basic level monsters with just Peter Quill. Now all the banter is just about that, and it just reads ad nauseum. If you die, even if you save right before that fight, you get spawned at whatever the last checkpoint was.
What?
So now you have to sit through all that banter again.
Oh, that's
rinse, repeat, because the fight mechanics in the game are not good. So it's a live time role play instead of like a turn-based role play. You can only play as Peter Quill. So even though there's all 5 Guardians on your team, you can't play as any of them. They are just support members on your team that you can ask to have do specific moves.
You could do that in X-Men games in the 90s.
This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying.
Oh my God.
And so there's just tragic decisions all throughout. The fact that I went and did the secret, I think I finally lost my mind after the 20th or 30th time that I tried to do it, because you just need like a cluster bomb or something that any of the other characters would be able to provide for you if they were here with you, but they're not. And so all I have is my guns. And when you're using the guns, they overheat. So you have to like play like, I call it a mini game. It's not really a mini game. It's like you have to hit the meter at the right time, right? So it's like a charge meter. You hold down, your guns are overheating, your guns stop firing. There's a little meter. You have to hit the green spot in the meter and your guns do a big blast, right? I don't want to fucking deal with that while I'm trying to fight these monsters that constantly respawn their shields and then just switch places. There's 2 of them. So I finally figured out, like, if I stay in the corner, I can stay alive. Well, yes, you can, except that as you deplete their shields, they fall back and the other one moves forward. And it just keeps doing that. And you can't do any actual damage to them. There's no auto lock for the targeting system, or if there is, I need to turn it on. The fact that you have to use the Joy-Con sticks to use different moves is a tragically bad decision. Like, just so many moments that I was like, man, this game was like a medium for me, and then this happened and it just ruined the entire experience for me. It just poisoned the whole water hole. Now all the banter is just so obnoxious to listen to. I don't want to listen to any of this banter because I had to listen to the same banter for 40, 50 fucking minutes at a time, trying to do this one secret, which shouldn't be that hard. It's level 3. You haven't introduced anything that makes me think I'm going to be able to come back here when I'm a higher level. So I must be able to do this now. But because your stupid game is so dumb in the way that it's made, all I'm doing is getting frustrated. Oh, here's another thing. If you decide you want to leave because you're like, fuck it, this isn't worth it to me, I'm done, I don't care, let me just go back to what I was doing. Fuck you, you can't. Once you've started the fight, you can't leave the fight. It will continue to respawn you back at the fight, usually under the enemies.
Oh, that's
because
dumb.
it will respawn you at the point where you left the screen, which means the enemies have now chased you to that point, and then it'll spawn you where you were, so the monsters are already on top of you because they've chased you to that point. If you see the way to go forward, no you don't, because it's going to keep respawning you back in the battle until the monsters die. What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this shit, man? This shit sucks. This shit sucks, dude. So, like, it was a tough one.
Well, I was looking up the sales on it, and it is what I remember. It did not do well sales-wise until it was one of those games, kind of like Fallout 76, that the price dropped. I remember seeing it in like the bargain bins for PlayStation and Xbox, and then it went on PS Plus and Game Pass, and then the players went up because it was free. And it's like, I guess that's something.
It's too early for me to say it's a bad game, but it is terribly frustrating because for as much as I really like the way that the story crafts both comic book and movie lore in this way that's very satisfying, but also very much allows people that read the comics and enjoy the comics to be like, I love that. That's great. I know what that means. I know what that is. You have things like, so I can't switch characters at all. And
see, that's
I don't have my characters with me in all situations, and I'm just going to have these 5 guys. I'm not going to get any other members of the Guardians, so I'm not going to get Mantis, and I'm not going to get Bug, and I'm not going to get Adam Warlock, and I'm not going to get Cosmo. What's the plan? Moondragon, Faye Lavelle, any of these characters going to be in the game, or just no? Just no. So, like, am I happy that you made it so that the Novas have helmets and they look like Nova Corps members? I'm thrilled. That's great. Could you get the rest of the game to be halfway decent? Because right now, this is just frustrating shit pile garbage. And I am not a fan of how it's built. After 20 minutes, the banter gets really annoying because it is just constant. It is just constant. So as much as I love having a scene where Quill has a heart-to-heart with Groot about wanting to be able to understand him and how he had a harder time because in this universe he didn't have a universal translator that allowed him to talk to anybody for the first 3 or 4 years he was in space. So he had a hard time and he felt alone. these are great moments, and I love them. Can the rest of the game be half this good? Because the mechanics of the actual game suck.
And that's the problem I think they're having with a lot of modern games is, yes, you're making... There's Hellblade 2, Senua's Sacrifice just came out on Xbox and Game Pass. Visually, everyone is like, you've never seen anything like it, but the gameplay sucks.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's what's happening with modern games, is they're focused so much, and this is why I give Nintendo credit. Their games might not look great, but usually they're fun to play.
They feel fun to play.
Where the modern games look great, and they might run great, but the gameplay is
That's why I'm always so surprised that in Odyssey you can't turn off motion control. And just play without motion control.
Well,
that makes
Nintendo loves to force you to do.
That fucking makes me so crazy.
Yeah.
That makes me so fucking crazy.
They like to force you to do that shit, which is annoying as fuck.
Before I rage quit on Guardians yesterday, the last time I had rage quit a game was Mario Odyssey when I was playing it with my wife. Because my wife was playing as Cappy and I was playing as Mario. And so she just got to go around and collect things and do stuff. And meanwhile, I'm wrestling with these motion controls. And I'm just like, I can't fucking take it.
Yeah.
I can't do this. There's no reason for this. There's no necessity for this. There's so many buttons that aren't being used on this controller.
And the weird thing is you think they would have learned with the end of the Wii's life cycle, because they really forced it on that and the DS. Like the two Zelda games on the DS, Spirit Tracks and Phantom Hourglass, they forced you to use touch controls, and I never played them because I started playing, I think, Phantom Hourglass, and you had to use the stylus to draw. I'm like, fuck this.
Yeah.
I want to use buttons.
Well, and it's like the 3DS game, not Link to the Past.
Link Between Worlds?
Link Between Worlds, where I love that game.
It's a great game.
It's a great game. I hate how much the 3D plays into just how the game plays. Where it just, like, if you don't have the 3D on, then it's very hard to tell the depth of things because they didn't shadow things correctly because they assumed you were going to have the 3D on. And it's like...
And then they sell the 2DS. It's like, well, that don't work!
You stupid motherfucker!
They love their gimmicks, man.
Yeah.
Nintendo love their gimmicks.
Yeah. So I did just want to, really quick before we move on...
Yes.
I did just want to touch on Beetlejuice, or Beetlejuice 2, as it's listed online, because they're scaredy cats and they don't trust the internet, not to say it 3 times. So Beetlejuice, the trailer 2 came out. I think we both agree this is a welcome look.
Yes. The more I'm thinking about it, though, and looking at some things, it's great because I think my biggest concern is, okay, how is Michael Keaton at his age gonna pull off, like, how is he gonna be as Beetlejuice?
Yeah.
And the scenes where he is, I love them. I thought that's awesome.
Yeah.
The two things that I'm not blown away with yet, and that I'm hoping is not a concern, is sequels to kind of obscure movies that become fan favorites. They throw bigger, well-known casts into it. So I don't know about the whole Willem Dafoe, Monica Bellucci thing. I'm like...
Justin Trudeau is in the...
Justin Trudeau, yeah, he's kind of a...
He's a middle, but, like, he's that guy that you put in a movie when you don't know what white guy to use.
Exactly. And you throw him in there. So I don't know about them. And then I kind of mentioned this to you with the shrunken head guy, but then also when Beetlejuice scares Justin Theroux and opens his face like he did in the first one. I don't like when you have a sequel and it's like, okay, we need to put in shit we did in the first one so everyone knows that it's this movie. It's like, dude, just having Beetlejuice and Lydia in the movie, you know it's the first one. You don't need to redo some of the gags. And I hope this movie doesn't turn into, because that's kind of what Zoolander 2, and that thing failed miserably because they tried to just redo the gags, and it's like...
Anchorman 2 did the same thing.
Anchorman 2, exactly. And it's not as good.
You just do the gags all over again. It turns into a Family Guy episode.
Yeah.
Where it's just cutaways and gags, and you're like, okay.
And it's the same gags.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to see the same gags. Yeah. I love that first movie, and I love the gags in it. Show me new shit. Yeah. But once again, it's just a trailer, and like you said, there's a lot to like about it.
Yeah. My thing is that I like the look of it. I'm a little concerned that some of the CGI, we were talking about this before the show, I'm a little concerned that some of the CGI looks bad. Now, some of the CGI looks like it's dated, which isn't necessarily bad CGI. It's just that they have kind of backtraced the CGI to make it look like the CGI from the 90s on like the Worm Planet and whatnot. There were some shots in passing here that I saw that I was like, I hope that that's just like first draft CGI and that they're going to tune it up, because some of this CGI is not good. And as much as I appreciate the idea of trying to make it look exactly like the first one, focus on practical then. I think my answer to you would be focus on practical. I'm also a little surprised that Gina Davis is nowhere in this trailer.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, is her and Alec Baldwin going to be like a...
They're not here anymore.
Well, now here's the only thing of
See, I
why
get that for
don't
Alec
think
Baldwin.
they're in.
I'm just surprised Gina Davis isn't here.
Well, the only thing is he can hide his aging in real life under the makeup. The two of them can't. And how are you going to show, like, why are ghosts aging?
Well, Steve,
I know, but I know they could do the de-aging.
they're going to de-age the Stranger Things kids.
They are, yes. But it's like, that's the only thing I can think of why they're not in it. But I thought that too. I'm like, you would think they would at least...
should be in here.
Yeah.
Like, Alec Baldwin, I get why he's not here. Right? That makes sense.
Well, I'm wondering if this thing was being filmed, like, before the whole Rust thing came through. Because that's only been about a year.
You think so?
I don't know.
Yeah, because I figured it was done after. So...
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's tough
anyway.
to say. I mean, we all know why Jeffrey Jones is not in it.
Yeah, well, they make a point of that in the plot.
Oh, they make a big point of that. He fucking died.
That's the opening thing.
Yeah.
Guess who's dead?
He's in the bad part of the afterlife,
Yeah,
too.
yeah. Is there going to be an Egon special where we see, what's his name in Ferris Bueller? Mooney. Are we going to have a Professor Mooney Egon special?
Yeah, I don't...
Where he comes back and he doesn't have any lines, but he just kind of smiles fondly.
See, when you think he's smiling, you're like, is he thinking about naked children? So, like, you can't even have him smiling fondly.
This is something that I was not aware of. Okay, that's
you didn't know Jeffrey Jones? That's where he was caught with child pornography. That's why his career ended.
Didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Yes, that's why his career ended, man.
I see. Yeah, that would do it.
It was during that time where it was like him and, who's the guy from The Who?
Roger Daughtry?
No, the guitarist. Why can't I think of his name? Peter Townsend.
Yes.
He had the similar thing where they're like, no, it was artistic. It's like, you have like thousands of pictures of like naked kids. I don't think that's artistic.
The Paul Rubens of it all.
Well, Paul Rubin was just jerking off in a... Like everyone does. At that time, they would go to a nudie theater and jerk off, and it's like...
But he also had... quote-unquote vintage porn.
Oh, well, that's true. That is true.
Yeah.
And there were some...
Yeah.
They weren't really strict on age.
No.
Just ask Tracy Lords when she was 16, I think.
Yeah.
No, 15. Doing some of the porn.
So, but on a lighter note, I think Beetlejuice looks fun. Beetlejuice, excuse me, looks fun. Now I've done it. Now I've gone and done it.
It does look fun.
But mostly I'm excited for Michael Keaton in this movie. I think Winona Ryder is going to be fun. I think Catherine O'Hara. It's Catherine O'Hara in this,
yes,
right? I think, yeah, she's going to be... It'll be interesting to see her. It's interesting to see her and Winona Ryder go from mother and daughter to looking like they're almost like sisters, just because Catherine O'Hara hasn't aged that much.
No.
She still looks very...
Delia, that was her name,
yeah.
I think, yeah.
But I'm curious about Jenna Ortega. She's a very good actress. I like her. Whenever I see her and stuff, I'm always impressed. But I'm coming to this for Michael Keaton, and I really hope that this doesn't get lost in the sauce of let's explore the inner workings of the world of the dead and how everything works and how all the pieces come together and all these other things. And that's what I worry this is going to turn into, is let's really get super familiar with the world of the dead. And if you don't land that, but you do go around crunching on canon, that's not great. So we're gonna
see. I'm wondering though, and this could be when they show the funeral. Is it Jeffrey Jones's Charles, who was the father, or is it Glenn Shattuck's Otho, who was the designer, who also died in real life?
Did he?
He's dead. He died in I want to say it was 2010. He was only 58. He was pretty young.
That's sad.
But like, he didn't have a checkered past, so I'm wondering if that will be some kind of like an Egon thing.
I think Jenna Ortega says that they're at Grandpa's funeral.
Oh, she does say, okay.
Yeah. So otherwise, I would agree with you. But
Otho was one of my favorite characters
he's
in that
really
first
funny.
movie. He was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's interesting.
That's interesting. There were a few other things in the trailer park, but we don't have to talk about Beverly Hills Cop 4.
Even though I gotta say, well, first off, Beetlejuice Beetlejuice is September 6th. Is when it comes out.
The Halloween movie that doesn't come out at Halloween.
I know,
as every year.
It still
makes me crazy.
Stupid as hell.
It makes me crazy.
Let's release a movie that's kind of a kids movie right when the kids go back to school and NFL season starts.
Yeah.
Instead of at Halloween.
At Halloween, when this movie clearly should be coming out at Halloween.
Yeah, fucking dumb. Okay, so I love Beverly Hills Cop. I've talked about it. My 9th birthday present was seeing the first Beverly Hills Cop in the theater. Always have love for that. I really enjoy the second one, even though that kind of gets shit on, but they kept the R rating, and it has its moments. It has some moments. Third one, where he goes to like their version of Disneyland, and I want to say it was PG-13. It wasn't. They didn't go for an R rating because they wanted more people.
More teenagers.
That was during that like Die Hard 4, where they're like, hey, we have R-rated movies, and RoboCop 3, and it's like, let's make him PG-13. Then no one fucking saw it because the only people that want to see it are the people that saw the R-rated versions.
Although the R-rated version of Die Hard 4
it's fucking awesome.
Quite good.
Oh, it's 1,000 times better than the non-R-rated one. But this is R-rated. And that is like, okay.
Yeah.
He has got to drop all the F-bombs. Like, that is Axel Foley. If you, once again, that first scene of the first movie, when I was a kid and I saw it, he says, fuck, like 7 or 8 times in the first 30 seconds. And I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever. It's got to have the swearing. It's got to have the, they never were overly violent, but they kind of pushed the envelope with people getting shot. And it's like, I really hope they push it more like, okay, we understand this is not a kid's movie now, so let's make it an adult comedy.
Yeah.
And I hope they fucking do it.
I'm interested. I've only seen the first Beverly Hills Cop. I liked it. I thought it was good. Judge Reinhardt is just such a weird guy whenever he shows up in anything. I always go back to the Santa Claus, and I'm like, oh, what are you doing here? Why are you... Oh, it's fine. Never mind. It's cool.
Yeah.
Unlike many people who just know him as the jerk-off pirate.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
But my thing is just like, I'm not disparaging Eddie Murphy, but I do feel like he phones it in a lot these days.
He does.
So I think that, to me, is going to be the crux of the whole thing. Is this Eddie Murphy really earnestly trying? Or is this Eddie Murphy like in that Christmas movie that came out on Amazon last year?
That thing was terrible.
Or 1,000 Words. Or Dave.
Or what was that one with
Norbert.
Jonah Hill?
Are you sure about him or something like that?
Yeah,
something like that.
The reason why I have faith in him is reality. This is his flagship. This is what really like shot him into the stratosphere, is this franchise. He is this character. You can never recast this character. Like, he is Axel Foley, and I'm glad they were going to do a TV show where they have, like, his son or some younger person played Axel Foley, and he said, nah, fuck it. Since this is his baby, I really hope he's putting all the effort into it.
I hope so.
Because I have hope. I have such hope.
He's just got Bruce Willis syndrome. I shouldn't say that.
I know, nowadays
that's not good.
I know what you're saying.
He has Bruce Willis, I don't give a fuck.
Like, Die Hard 5 was, I don't
Die Hard
give
5,
a fuck.
Cop Out, so many surrogates, many fucking Bruce Willis movies where it was just for the paycheck.
Yeah.
And that's been Eddie Murphy to me for a while now.
It has, except for his, like, arty movies like Dolomite. And like
that's true. I heard Dolomite was really good.
Dreamgirls, he got nominated for an Oscar.
He got angry and stormed off because he didn't win.
Yeah, which he should have fucking won. Which we're not going to get into the Oscar shit.
Did you see the new Coming to America?
Yeah, it was terrible.
It was bad.
It was
so
fucking
that's my concern.
But they didn't do an R rating on it. That's what I'm talking about. You take these. I'm so tired of them taking these R-rated franchises. That's why I'm so happy that Deadpool, which I love that Ryan Reynolds did come out and say he was shocked by how far Disney let them push the R rating. They pretty much pushed it to the edge. That, and if it bodes true, that's what I'm talking about though. Like, because if you remember, they put Deadpool 2 out in that PG-13 version, which was fine.
I find it
wasn't
funny.
Deadpool.
The thing that I found funny about it was just that he reads it to Fred Savage like the Princess Bride.
That was awesome.
That was the funniest element of it.
But the movie itself, with all the stuff taking out, was not the same movie.
No.
Not even remotely.
How could it be?
Yeah, exactly.
How could it be?
These are the same type of thing, though. It's like you can't make like I'm happy all the Terminator movies, and you think about it, the one that failed first, really, because the third one actually did well in the theater. Even
it wasn't until
really
people saw it that people were like, I don't know.
Yeah, but at least it was still R-rated and it had violence and it had all the stuff Terminator was. But then when they made Terminator Salvation, which I actually did like.
I just got the director's cut because I really want to watch the director's cut, because Terminator Salvation to me is if the trailer hadn't been fucked,
yes,
this movie might be good.
Yes.
But the trailer fucked itself.
But like the movie, I do love it, but I like the unrated version once again, because the first one they put out was PG-13. Like, I love the gritty look. I thought the CGI of Arnold at the end was incredible when he comes out of the casing as the first Terminator form. But they fucked it up by making, and then it just never picked up, even though the later movies were R. They just couldn't. It's like once you go down that PG-13 rabbit hole, you can't fucking bring it back.
You don't think it was the white hot stardom of Sam Wentworth not going off that doomed that franchise?
I also wonder if the infamous Christian Bale rant on set.
Yeah, well, that was the most famous thing about that movie.
And but that came out before the movie did, so I wonder if that killed it.
It didn't help.
Even though it gave one of the best Family Guy cutaways, because it's that soundbite, but then they intertwine Peter as if he caused it, and then he's trying to talk to Christian Bale about, why are you getting so mad? And he's screaming, and it's so perfectly done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really hope Beverly Hills Cop is good, because I do love the franchise, and I love Eddie Murphy, and I want him to come back to where he was.
Before we move on, I did want to mention, while we're talking about Deadpool and Ryan Reynolds, first off,
the silence your phone thing.
No, I haven't seen that. No,
they filmed. You talk first, and I'll talk.
So quick shout out to Guardians. Peter Quill has a Dazzler poster in his quarters, which is like, again,
nice.
You guys have so many elements right. I just wish the gameplay didn't suck ass. I saw a list of people that the internet thinks will be cameoing in Deadpool and Wolverine, and one of them that I heard was confirmed by Ryan Reynolds was Rob McElhenney is going to be in it, and nobody knows what he's going to be. So might I propose, now that the movie is done and finished and you can't do this, have Rob McElhenney be Demolition Man, also known as D-Man, who takes a old Daredevil costume and a Wolverine cowl, and he wears that, and he's just a schlub who doesn't have any superpowers, who just really, really, really wants to be a superhero.
I used to have that comic book when the first time Captain America met D-Man.
Yeah.
And they were at the gym, and they were lifting, and I was like, as soon as you said D-Man, I went nuts.
No, I'm just saying, if you're going to do Ben Affleck as Daredevil, and you're going to have the Wolverine costume, you got a guy who puts those two things together.
That would be awesome.
Just saying.
That would be awesome.
Could be great.
But no, they filmed a silence your phone little thing they show before movies with Wolverine and Deadpool. It's fucking hysterical.
Oh, I'm glad.
It's really, really funny.
I'm sure I'll see it.
That's why I'm hoping that this movie's good. I really want it to be good.
I so badly want it to be good. I just can't. My heart's not in it this time. You know, like I can't be hopeful about it, because every time Disney has a legitimate artist trying to make legitimate art, they ruin it. Every time.
Yes.
Every time. So.
And I just have the utmost faith in Ryan Reynolds, especially when he came out recently, and it's been come out to known that he'll never work with The Rock again, because The Rock was so unprofessional on Red Notice, and he just won't. And it's like, to come out and like shit on The Rock, who's one of the biggest stars in the world, because you have this ethical code that you stick to. God, I hope he was able to tell Feige to fuck himself. I really do.
Well, we're not fucking doing that.
No.
I just hope, I want a list of things that Marvel wanted him to put in the movie that he was like, no, we're not fucking doing that, and we're not fucking doing that, we're not doing that, and we're not doing that.
So
I just want as many TVA agents to get their asses handed to them as possible. Like that, I will cheer for that, because I hate Loki as a show. I don't think it's a good show. The TVA fully ruins canon, just point blank, fully ruins canon. I saw someone be like, so how does the TVA feel about Cable? That's a really good question.
Yeah.
That's an excellent question.
Or Bishop? You know damn well there's got to be a joke in there about Kang.
Oh my god.
I don't know if it'll be about beating women. There's gotta be something.
There's gonna have to be something.
Like some guy hits a woman and he says, "Hey, hold on, Kang," or says something. You
Yeah.
know, there's gotta be something.
Yeah.
And that's
I'm not a douchebag. I'm not like Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait.